So welcome to your second Philip lesson on the paths or pathways to leadership. So let's crack on. So we remember this slide from our last Flip video with some examples of leaders, but let's have a look at their kind of backgrounds. How do they actually get to become the activity or sport leaders that they have become today? And there's four ways that we're going to look at. And it's quite simple, so this should be quite a short video. So the first one is emergent. So this is an emergent leader. So those of you who've done level 3 sport and psychology, this is very similar to when we talked about an emergent leader. And the example we've used is Megan Rapinoe, World Cup Golden Boot winner 2019. Now, she is an emergent leader. She is an very confident, very outspoken woman, and often a speaker and expert on the LGBT community. And the reason why she's been picked to that is because of her strong personality. Her personal characteristics are she's confident, outgoing, she's a leader. As we saw when she scored against England, she actually did a tea drinking celebration, pretty much an affront to the Boston Tea Party during the American Revolution, when the Americans pretty much took a load of boxes of tea, which were a export for the British, and just chucked them in the river, pretty much ruining all of the imports and costing them lots of money. So her experience of the game, we've included all her stats right there below, and you can see that she's actually been a World Cup winner twice and a runner-up. If you have a look at the FIFA Women's World Cup ranking there, and you can see that in her current performance for Reign FC, in the last 75 games, she scored 37 goals. So pretty much a goal every 2 games, which is a fantastic record for a winger. So she's also chosen from within. So a lot of her peers speak very highly of her. In fact, one of her fellow players came out and said, "This is Megan Rapinoe's world, and we're just living in it." So she was essentially picked from within her team and her players and her country to be a leader. Even though she's not necessarily the appointed captain, she is still a leader in her own right. The next pathway to leadership is appointment, and we've used Katrina McAllister here, the CEO of Jersey Sport, and appointed is the same as prescribed, which you may have done on level 3, and this means selected. So based on her previous performance, she evidenced that how well she had done. So she was CEO of a Scottish performance centre, and we're using a £1 million facility, began to develop athletes at performance and elite level. And you can see there she's also had lots of experience as being Director of Sport, Deputy Director of Sport and Exercise, and Head of Sport and Exercise at Heriot-Watt University. Obviously, based on her education, she has completed her degree and a postgraduate diploma in sports management. She obviously interviews well if she can convince people that she is the best person for the job. And this is essentially a traditional model of leadership. So it's a person who's done lots of previous high positions only will progress into the next one. They've got experience. They usually got years of experience under their belt. They're mature. And this is a very traditional approach to becoming a leader. The next pathway is charisma, or charismatic pathway. And the example we've used is Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager. Now, here on the bullet points, which some of you definitely will disagree with, these are the characteristics of a charismatic leader and how they became a leader in that sense. So if you ask any Liverpool fan, they will tell you that he is an extraordinary man with almost magical talents. If you ask a Man United fan or an Everton fan, they'll probably won't say that. He's proven that he has managerial nous and expert tactical awareness in all kinds of different crises and challenging situations. He's been very shrewd in the transfer market, made some excellent decisions, splashing the cash when he need to, and also spending very little on certain players and then selling them on for lots and lots of money. For example, Philippe Coutinho. He's got a very radical vision of where he wants his club to be and to perform. So even though they didn't win the Premier League, they still finished with 97 points, which is a phenomenal amount, even though to come second, and then also winning the Champions League as well. So he has a lot of dedicated followers with him. So most charismatic leaders will have. Now there are other charismatic leaders, for example, not in sport, who've actually done some diabolical things and been terrible leaders, such as Adolf Hitler, Osama bin Laden, Mussolini, Stalin. All these people did some horrific things, but were able to really gain the attention of their followers. They often don't go along with the status quo or do the basics or go with traditional methods. They strive for change, and that's what kind of gets people on board. But usually we see the validation through repeated success. Jurgen Klopp's built and built at Liverpool, and the club's become essentially a powerhouse in football compared to where it was when he took over leadership. Okay, next one and final one is election or elective leader. An example we've used is Steve Pallett, who is the Senator for Sport, who you may have seen, and in fact you should have met by this point, as he is very, very supportive of the HND. And as you can see, we're zooming in there to see almost the pain in his eyes, because he is a big advocate of sport in this island, and he feels that it's not getting the funding and support it deserves. Now, he was legally appointed by the state, which is the government, so the states of Jersey, and he was voted in by the public. So people in the island voted for him to become a politician. So I believe he came in as a constable, and then he was voted in by the other politicians to become the Senator for Sport. Now this is because he is so passionate and so dedicated. Former St. One's first team manager, and he has experience in a range of helping out in a variety of sports. And in his role, he's had to deal with the fort situation, the fact that there's no funding from which to modify or replace the existing infrastructure up at Fort Regent. Also, the fact that he has to then weigh in, for example, between bowls clubs when they have disagreements about players wanting to join. He's had to wade into those things as well. So that's what he's been elected to do, to be the voice of the people with regards to sport. And that leaves us on to your task that all we have to do. So you're going to have to put a post onto the HND Teams channel for activity leadership. And I want you to pick a activity or sport leader based in Jersey. It could be one that we've done today. If you can find another one, brilliant. And I want you to devise a question to ask them about their pathway to how they became a leader. So you could ask them what was the actual pathway they did, what did they do beforehand, where were they educated, what was their defining experience that got them into leadership, or their defining role that really kind of accelerated their progress. What were certain barriers that they had to face, who was in their way, what was in their way, what were potential pitfalls that they may have fallen into or may have narrowly avoided. Or it could have been about who supported you or what supported you. Could have been your education, could have been a role model or a colleague. What was the real support mechanism there? Okay, and that's it. So quite a short one. Make sure you do the task and also fill in the survey as well. All right, I will see you in class.